Let's rock. The plus is back and it's going to get better. Not just because I have this man with me, but because this man forced me to look in the mirror. Because there were some things that happened and I wasn't ready for, but I'm ready today. And why did they disrespect Sean Taylor? Well, we're just going to dive right in and start there, and I'm going to give you the floor. Take it.
Snowman, we talk about looking into the mirror and, acknowledging things and, making a better tomorrow. And the Commanders didn't do that with Sean Taylor's monument. This is temporary. I can live with it because the fact of seeing his uniform on display, seeing that historical value of that was great. Seeing that on display, but if that's their permanent resolution to be a monument for Sean Taylor, it's a slap in the face for anybody who's a fan of the formerly known as REDSKINS. I'm just getting used to saying it. I'm sorry, Snowman. Like I'm the one who have them tattooed on me, so I can say whatever the blank I want. So when it comes to that, I'm gonna just refer to them to be professional with my brand on my shirt, formerly known as REDSKINS. But back to Sean Taylor. That hit in the Pro Bowl will go down as the number one play in Pro Bowl history because what we know as two-hand touch football in the Pro Bowl is pretty much what it is because nobody wants to get hurt. They're not getting paid enough. It's just a bonus game just to celebrate your accomplishments. We get it. Sean Taylor proved that it was a Legends game. Like, that's what it should be proven as. And he's a legend for that. And I would think that way even if I wasn't a fan of this historical franchise that he played a part of. But if you think that putting soccer cleats on a mannequin with the jersey and the helmet is going to solve everything that you had basically built up a hype for, we thought we were getting a bronze statue with the announcement of Sean Taylor. You gave us a uniform, a half a mannequin that shows the joints and stuff in between the kneecaps, and soccer cleats for a mannequin. Like, come on, man. Sean Taylor deserves better than that. We got better technology to give him that.
Much better. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and play this, but why did they embarrass themselves with that? Ohio River History joining us this afternoon. What's up to you? But it's an embarrassment what they did for Sean Taylor. As much as he gave to the Redskins, it's an embarrassment, man.
Yeah, it's definitely it was a wild Sunday. Wild Sunday in football, and that was the cherry on top. And definitely looking forward to the other things we got to talk about. But when it comes to Sean Taylor, I hope and pray that either the Snyder family does a better job at monumenting him, or this new owner they keep hyping up all season is going to come in at some point, or the ownership group does a better job of restoring the franchise's value of what it once was.
See, when I grew up a fan of the Redskins, John Riggins, Joe Theismann, Charlie Brown, the Smurfs,
Monk,
the Hogs. That's what drew me to them as much as they ran John Riggins, and then later on, of course, Doug Williams, who became a Super Bowl MVP, Super Bowl 22 with 300 yards in a quarter. I still couldn't believe that. 300 yards in a quarter. Okay. And then, of course, they win Super Bowl 26 with Mark Rippon and the bunch. There's so much history, and they're flushing it down the toilet with every passing day that Daniel Snyder is the owner of the team. That's just not right. Ohio River History. You cannot immortalize a great with a mannequin. Whoever did that needs to be fired. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm not
Agreed.
excusing it. I'm not excusing whatsoever.
Right.
I like the fact that got his uniform on display. If that was not treated as the monument, I'd be cool with it because
Right.
you want to display his jersey and stuff. But
Yes.
that shouldn't be what immortalizes him for future generations that didn't watch him play. When you're
Exactly.
thinking about old school people like, the famous kicker quarterback like George Blanda or
Mm-hmm.
Bart Starr, any of these other ones that we weren't alive to really watch and pay attention to, if they were as hyped, big of a player as like Sean Taylor, you wouldn't want them to be represented this way.
Exactly.
Like as the fool, but putting his uniform on display, cool with that. To uphold the lineage of what this team once was, but that shouldn't be his statue and his monument for years to come or for decades, however time long is.
It really shouldn't. It really, really shouldn't. Now, on to some fun stuff. How about those Redskins? 7-5 in the NFC East now.
They're coming for you,
Don't
son.
look, don't look now.
49ers, they are looking to
Don't,
knock down the 49ers after
don't look now. Don't look now. But but now, a matchup a lot of people wrote off in 3 weeks. 2 weeks, I beg your pardon. That Redskin 49ers game has got some significant playoff aspirations to it for both teams.
And I'm just going to be honest and real. I think the 49ers will win that game just because I'm not going to pick Washington to win that game. And it's not because of the defense of Washington, because they're going to keep it a close game. It's going to be your defense because you have one of the best defenses in the league with the way you guys have played. You have held it together. Christian McCaffrey's definitely been a big addition to your offense, but he isn't what Christian McCaffrey once was, or at least hasn't got to that point quite yet. He's had some flashes in the pan, of course, and we can see for his skill set.
It's going to be,
but it's going to take time for him to get there. But we also need to make sure that what they did to him in Carolina, because he took some punishment there. We got to make sure that doesn't in a lingering factor, because health has been a major question mark over that kid's head for the entirety of his career. And I want him to be healthy because he deserves a good shot. Kyle Shanahan's going to give him a good shot at being successful with a great offense, with great offensive scheme. It's just I don't feel like they have enough to get past the NFC Championship this year. They're going to make a lot of noise, and they've made a lot of noise. And I've given you a hard time on Rod's show earlier and just off camera stuff about the 49ers, you being a homer, but I will here acknowledge that they are a great team. They have a great defense, but they are not 100% there on offense yet, because when you lose to the Broncos, this was before McCaffrey, but you lose to the Broncos and then you lose to the Chiefs the way you lose to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Losing to the Chiefs in that manner just shows that you're not a Super Bowl caliber team quite yet, but you're getting there.
Well, that loss to the Chiefs woke them up. That loss to the Chiefs woke them up, and they were only playing with half a squad at the time. No excuses. You had the Chiefs at home, had a chance to make a statement, and didn't. Okay, I acknowledge that the following day, but when they had a chance to have a real get right game, that was the following week in Los Angeles against the Rams, against the Super Bowl champions, and they went to and that was the week they also acquired Christian McCaffrey. And they went into SoFi Stadium and pummeled the Los Angeles Rams. That game against Kansas City woke them up.
Yeah, they got smacked in the mouth, but that was definitely that definitely did wake them up, and I hope that's a motivating factor for the rest of this year. Just like in Washington, with staying with that is like, Taylor Heineke is what energizes this offense.
Yes.
He's not the best quarterback in the league. He's probably one of the lower end quarterbacks, but what he brings is a spark to that offense that motivates everybody else. And it's all about being a leader at that position. You don't need to throw 300 and 400 yards a game to win the game.
Thank you.
But he extends plays, which is why, even though not the 300 passing yard aspect of Brett Favre, I'll compare him to, but I'll compare him to the factor of him being mobile in the pocket and being able to extend plays and run the ball is what gets that team into the positions they are in today. But that matchup against the 49ers is going to be an exciting one. I think it's going to be. It's not going to be like your win yesterday with a 13-point shutout.
It's not. It's going to be like a 24-21 kind of game.
Yeah,
because
I was going to say like 21-17, but I'm with you.
The Redskins are going to bring it, okay?
Yeah.
And I love that. I absolutely love that about Washington. So that's going to be a key matchup. The other matchup, and I talked about it this morning, 3 weeks' time in Seattle, a chance for the 49ers to clinch the NFC West. because now they're a full game clear in the main standings. But what folks don't realize, they're 4-0 in the division. Chance to make it. A chance to make it 5 with Seattle. They win that game. The NFC West is theirs.
Geno Smith has had a great year at quarterback. But, and I said this on Rod's show, and I think it was right after you got off, we were talking about him. Seattle has no running game. The reason why they lost yesterday is because they had no running game. When you got running backs getting 30 yards or less in a 4-quarter game, you're not going to win that game. Geno Smith is playing what his potential should have been, was all this time. But he's now finally gotten the right shot at proving it and proving how sheltered Russell Wilson really was. And now we're seeing that unfold in Denver. So it's cool to see Geno Smith do what he's doing, but you guys are going to win that matchup when it comes to the 49ers and the Seahawks based on that. You have no running game. Your defense is nasty. So when your defense is going against their running offense, you're going to smack them in the mouth, Snowman. They can't even – they'll pass the ball on you, but they're not going to run it.
The best part is the defense is getting healthy. That's the biggest key. The defense is getting healthy and just at the right time, because I'm hearing word that Eric Armstead may return next week against Miami, because he did practice, but they ruled him out because he wasn't ready. Imagine Eric Armstead on that defensive line. And plus, we're missing another big lineman in the form of Javon Kinlaw. And yet, that defense is nasty. Even without Armstead, even without Kinlaw, they had to find a couple pieces to replace DeForest Buckner when they shipped him to Indianapolis 3 years ago. But that defense, holy cow, you want to talk about a defense being nasty. Here it is.
Yeah, Legion of, they're, I'm not going to go too far on it. I'm not going to say they're like the Legion of Boom, what Seattle used to have, but Seattle doesn't have that in 2022. And Geno Smith has been a huge part of the success that they have had. They haven't had anything close to what San Francisco's had this year, but it has been nice seeing, even though Russell Wilson is a Virginia guy, and he's a local guy in my area going to Benedictine and stuff, okay? I was a fan of his and what he did in Seattle at first, but I even brought this up on Rod's show earlier as we were talking about him. That pass in the Super Bowl where he threw that interception instead of running it, you should have given Marshawn Lynch a bag of Skittles. During a timeout, let him run the ball up the gut. You would have won the game. And now, since that point down, we've seen different points where he's been exposed for what he is. This year has been the ultimate unraveling of that and seeing that. And seeing Geno come in Seattle and have them competitive and being way more competitive what Denver is with Russell Wilson has been nice. And you'll get that matchup. You'll get to see that. But they have no running game. That's why you're going to smack them in the mouth, win that game. You're going to get that division title.
Punish them. That's a division title. That's a division title game. Sick Diggy joining us from Norway. What's good with you? Andrew joining us. Big fan of the New Jersey Devils. We're going to pause for a couple minutes. And when we come back, we're going to fill in the blank. We want y'all to fill in the blank with us.
College football.
The World Series is underway. So is the NFL season, the NBA season, and yes, there's actually hockey with the NHL. Where can you support your team and your favorite player? By going to Fanatics. Go to snowmaninthemorning.com/Fanatics. That's snowmaninthemorning.com/Fanatics. Select your favorite jersey or your favorite gear from your favorite team or your favorite player, and you can support not only your favorite team or favorite player, but you can support this morning show as well. Go to snowmaninthemorning.com/Fanatics, and you can support anybody involved in sports with all the seasons going right now. It's Fanatics, where sports fans shop. And when you go there, tell them Snowman sent you. Thank you. Have you had a chance to visit the brand new Snowman in the Morning shop yet? You haven't? Then what are you waiting for? Go to our new web address, snowmaninthemorning.com/shop. That's snowmaninthemorning.com/shop, where you can shop for all kinds of items like a coffee mug, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a book bag, and everything else that you need to have the same outfits and the same gear that the crew has. And with each purchase, you will be helping the Snow Strong initiative. We got a lot to do in a short time to get there. Go to snowmaninthemorning.com/shop and get the same stuff that the crew has. And when you do that, tell them Snowman sent you. Thanks.
want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast.
Stuck in My Mind podcast all over the place. And it's live Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Just as we are live each Monday in the afternoon with Drew Willingham, Snowman here. Fill in the blank. The most dangerous team in the AFC is?
Bills. Bills are still proving it, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people want to put hype on the Dolphins, but I just like what Josh Allen can do with this team. And he's been smacking them out a couple times this year, but they've been big games that I think are getting them primed and ready for a good run this postseason.
For me, the most dangerous team in the AFC is the Kansas City Chiefs. Actually,
After that loss?
I have a tie. Actually, I have a tie. Not only the Kansas City Chiefs, but as strange as this sounds, Cincinnati Bengals. When you go to an opponent that you beat in the playoffs and you expect them to have all kinds of revenge built up and you still beat them, Joe Burrow is no joke. And on top of that, they did this without their leading receiver in Jamar Chase. Anytime you have Jamar Chase in the lineup, it just heightens everything. But they did this without Jamar Chase. So T. Higgins got a few catches. Hayden Hurst got a few catches. Joe Burrow is spreading the love around. And right now, the Chiefs and the Bengals are the two of the most dangerous teams. And the Bengals have to see the Chiefs later on in the season.
Yeah, and I think that loss to that team by your team, the 49ers losing to the Chiefs, might have actually turned you into that decision because there's been other teams in the AFC that have definitely been hyping. And I got to say that you probably have a better take than I do with that, so I'm going to actually concede and give you that one. But when it comes to the Bills, I just still believe they're going to make a run in this playoffs, and I feel like it could be Bills and Chiefs in the AFC Championship one way or another, how they rank.
Be healthy. That's the key. Josh Allen has got to get and remain healthy. And they have to get a running game aside of Josh Allen. That's the biggest fatal flaw of the Buffalo Bills right now. The biggest fatal flaw of the Buffalo Bills is the fact that they don't have a consistent running game, outside of Josh Allen. Big problem.
So you trust Miami more than you trust Buffalo?
Hell no.
Okay.
Hell no. And Melvin Turismo, I love you being here, but no. Because here's why I don't trust Miami. They have running backs. They have good running backs. They don't use them.
They don't utilize them correctly.
What is wrong with Coach McDaniel? They don't use him. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson Jr., both former 49ers. Mike McDaniel was the OC. Why don't they use them? Why are they leaning? Think about it. Why are they leaning on Tua so damn much?
Back to Josh Allen. Does he have more turnovers than Russell Wilson has this year? Because Ohio River was talking about most turnovers in the AFC has to stop, but I feel like it's Russell Wilson because he has more interceptions and he has less touchdowns than he has bathrooms. So I feel like he was turning the ball over more.
Yeah, and they're both turning the ball over a lot. They're both turning the ball over a lot, entirely too damn much. I'll give you a third team that could be dangerous, but for the same fatal flaw that the Dolphins have, I will not trust them. Baltimore.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, with your comment. Chiefs, Bills, and Dolphins in that order because that's definitely that no one else really has a chance in AFC because the NFC East is the best division in football. Snowman's team is one of the best in the NFC, but My division with Washington, and I'm gonna be a homer there by saying that, but I'm just saying like NFC East is the best division when you got the Eagles playing the way they are, the Cowboys, the Giants, and Washington at the bottom with a 7-5 record.
Mm-hmm.
Not many teams are barely leading the division with a 7-5 record. So to be in last place, 7-5, speaks volumes at how strong that division is.
Every team in the NFC East is over 500. Every team in the NFC East has a chance to make the postseason and then some. But man, that division is going to come down to the final game within that division to see who gets in, I can't say who claims the division because Philadelphia is 2.5 games clear of everyone else in that division. But the other three teams, Giants, Redskins, and Cowboys, are going to be fighting for playoff spots. Big time. They're going to be fighting for playoff spots big time. Change the question. The most dangerous team in the NFC is?
It's tough. It's tough because there's a lot of good teams in the NFC.
True.
Some weeks I want to say it's the 49ers. Some weeks. But and I give you a hard time by bringing up that Chiefs game, but I'm being truthful and honest when I'm saying genuine with the way they lost to the Chiefs. I don't see them being the most dangerous team. The way the Eagles almost lost to the Green Bay Packers last night, I don't see them being as the most dangerous team in NFC.
Right.
And I feel like the team has to come from the NFC East. It's tough for me to say who. I just got to answer that with any team from the NFC East.
Aside of the 49ers, Washington.
Yeah, that's why I got to say it comes from the NFC East.
I got to listen. The Eagles are 10-1. We know that. Giants have some holes to fix. Okay, they got nobody to throw the ball to. I don't trust the Cowboys in their offense because it's going to come down to a point, and we saw it in the playoffs last year, where they're going to lean on Dak Prescott. Okay? I've said this about many a quarterback. They're going to lean on Dak Prescott entirely too much, and he's going to cost them. So the most dangerous team right now, aside of San Francisco, it's got to be the Washington Redskins. Because you can't trust Kirk Cousins on a big night. Now, he proved me wrong on Thanksgiving night. Prove it to me in January. Prove it to me when you have a trip to the NFC Championship on the line. Okay? Because the last time the Vikings went to the NFC Championship, it was a fellow named Case Keenum who led them there. Now, granted, it took a miraculous finish. Thank you, Stephon Diggs. But prove it to me that Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback in primetime in January with a spot in the NFC title game on the line. Other than that, I don't trust him. Green Bay is finished. Arizona's finished. Seattle's about to fall flat on their face. But I'll say it again, aside of Frisco, and that inconsistency factor is really biting them in the butt right now, even though they've won 4 in a row. It's got to be Washington. They're rallying around Taylor Heineke. And it's so similar with those two teams because no one outside of Washington trusts Taylor Heineke. No one outside of San Francisco trusts Jimmy Garoppolo. And yet, here they both are on a collision course for 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, it's going to be a great matchup, and it's like every time you say the Redskins, it makes me smile. But it's tough for me not to say it.
Right.
But me in the realm that I'm in, and just trying to uphold the brand I wear on my shirt, Legacy Maker Sports Network, to the highest value that I possibly can, and help build my team as much as I can, or anybody's show that I'm on. I've got to uphold that. So I love you for saying it, and it makes me smile every time you say it. However, I try to keep myself away from the homer aspect of it because the fan inside, I'm loving what I'm seeing, and you could only hope for more success throughout the year. But being realistic and the reality of what their schedule is this year, it's the NFC East has a very easy schedule this year in comparison to other divisions within the league. And I want to see more success, but your team has more chance of having further success in the playoffs because it's been quite some time since we've seen it since we've seen a playoff win in Washington, let alone them even reaching the NFC Championship game.
How far can Washington go?
This year, now that they've expanded the playoffs to where you have 3 wild card teams, for per NFC or AFC, we could potentially see, and I don't think it's going to happen. We could potentially see all 3 NFC wild card teams come from the NFC East.
Yeah.
And then like the Eagles win, and then you have the Giants, the Cowboys, and Washington get in there as the 3 wild card teams. That would be something special to see and very historic. And I actually am pulling for that. Your team's going to win the division, let alone you're getting into the playoffs.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be cool to see all of one division,
all of the NFC,
even if it's
East
not your
in the
division, but
playoffs.
all of your division in there? That'd be sweet.
All of the NFC East teams in the playoffs, and I'm buying that. I'll buy that one. I'll buy that one. Let's put a quick question out to the chat. Buy or sell? All 4 teams in the NFC East make the playoffs. I'll buy it. I will buy it because everyone in that division is playing great right now. Everyone in that division is playing great. Yeah, the Giants stumbled on Thanksgiving and they stumbled against Detroit. Philadelphia nearly let Green Bay beat them, but they won. You got Dallas, and they have 10 days off from beating the Giants on Thanksgiving. And then you got Washington, who's the wildest of the wild cards. So it just really depends on how far they can go. Andrew says 3. Which one? Who doesn't get in? But I'm buying it. I'll buy it. All 4 get in. I will buy it right now. All 4 get in.
Come on, sick. He say left my
wallet at home. We're going to shift gears and talk NBA in a couple of minutes. And I lead with this. The Golden State Warriors are getting their act together. That should frighten everybody. Back in a flash.
Hey everybody, Snowman here, and thanks for listening to this episode of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Want to tell you about a little thing we like to call Monkey Knife Fight. Wait, what in the world is that, you may ask? Well, Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy site where you can play your favorite games, support your favorite players, and make money at the same time. And right now, if you go to monkeyknifefight.com and use the code Snowman, you will get a 100% deposit match on up to $100 on your initial deposit. Go to monkeyknifefight.com and use the code Snowman for an up to 100% deposit on your first deposit of up to $100. Thanks, and tell them Snowman sent you.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Have you had a chance to visit the brand new Snowman in the Morning shop yet? You haven't? Then what are you waiting for? Go to our new web address, snowmaninthemorning.com/shop. That's snowmaninthemorning.com/shop, where you can shop for all kinds of items like a coffee mug, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a book bag, and everything else that you need to have the same outfits and the same gear that the crew has. And with each purchase, you will be helping the Snow Strong initiative. We got a lot to do in a short time to get there. Go to snowmaninthemorning.com/shop and get the same stuff that the crew has. And when you do that, tell them Snowman sent you. Thanks.
Oh man, we're rolling right along here on this edition of Snowman in the Morning. Plus, Derek Medea in the house with us. The show needs a better name for the quality guest that you have, Snowman. Okay, Derek.
You know what?
I challenge you,
Derek.
Make me an offer.
You. What should it be
Derek?
called, Derek?
Make me an offer.
Yeah.
What should it be made? I'll put you in charge of that. What should the name be?
Yeah, what should it be?
I'll run with it. I'll run with it. Okay. But Derek, it's on you. You come up with a name. I'll think it over, and then we'll go with it.
That's back-to-back shows where we've had comments to where somebody now suggests that we have a name for our weekly duo. But I'm even going to throw in another one out there that somebody said that this guy deserves an intro. So let's make this happen. Let's make this happen, Snowman. I even called Cole out in the comments last week because to get in line.
I heard.
You gotta hook your boy up with an intro. Let's make this happen. Let's keep building Snowman digital media.
I heard.
Let's do it.
Let's talk NBA right now. And the most dangerous thing is happening right now in the NBA. It's got nothing to do with Luka. It's got nothing to do with Giannis. It certainly has nothing to do with the Fakers or the Brooklyn mess.
Kyrie.
The most dangerous thing that's happening in the NBA right now, the champs are getting their act together. Uh-oh.
I don't trust Draymond, dude. I don't trust Draymond.
I do. I'll trust him.
Come on, Snowman.
Listen. There's a free agent out there that they still may snatch.
They're 11-10, Snowman. Like, how are they? How can you really see this? Explain.
I don't have to. Watch them. Yeah, they were 11-10. Yeah, they have had problems on the road. They lost their first 8 on the road. But the beatdown in Minnesota is given Dub Nation hope. And the heating up of one Klay Thompson is helping also. Now, this is not as bad as it was in 2019 when it took a 14-3 performance by Klay Thompson, for him to get going. But my spider senses are going off. And I just trust this team and its staff that they know what championship ball is going to be like. By the time April gets here, and we got a long way to go, and many things can happen. I understand that. Injuries, another slump. I get that. But by the time April gets here, they're going to be one of the top 3 seeds. They are due for a big winning streak. Here's why I trust Draymond. It's 4 simple words. Been there, done that. I just do. I just trust them to continue to get their act together. And, as true as it is that Steph is the straw that stirs the drink, Draymond's the motor that gets him going. And Draymond is starting to realize, I need to put some positive spins on this. Now, we all know what happened in the preseason with him socking Jordan Poole, but I want you to look at them on the floor. You can't tell me they don't try to look for each other when the play precipitates it. You can't tell me Jordan Poole and Draymond and the rest of the Warriors are not having fun again. Did it take him a while to get going this year? Certainly.
I mean, the way that they lost to the Pelicans, Snowman, I feel like that was one of their motivating factors. Kind of like what we were talking about in the last segment where we were talking about the 49ers loss to the Chiefs kind of helped propel them to where they're at. I feel like your recent success has been because of the way that they lost to the Pelicans, because they got smacked around pretty bad in that game.
Mm-hmm.
It was an ugly game.
They lost by 45 points in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And the worst thing you want to do, which prompted a lot of LeBron talk, I'll explain that in a moment. But the worst thing you want to do is to wake a sleeping giant. If you look at how the Warriors have played and how horribly inconsistent they've been on the road as opposed to being at home, they're 9-1 at home, 10-1 at home. I beg your pardon. Somehow you got to figure that consistency at home is going to mesh with them, and they'll take it on the road. What put them in a hole on the road is a 4-game trip, and they lost them all.
Well, and where they also lost to the Pistons too earlier.
They lost to the Pistons.
That was another game that I feel like was another motivational game of like we need to get our shit together. And that game, and then this past one, it was the most recent one with the Pelicans, with that huge and probably their worst loss of the season with a 45-point loss. When we get to the end of the season, we'll be able to say that was their worst loss of the season.
Yeah.
So far it is. I don't see them losing by that much into a team like the Pelicans, who are okay, but they're not a team that's usually worthy of smacking a team around by nearly almost 50 points.
Exactly. And it's like you said, that any game can wake a team up. You know, we talked about in the last segment, the 49ers lost to the Chiefs 44-23. And all the inconsistencies that we talked about showed themselves in that game. All the inconsistencies against the Pelicans showed themselves in that game. But that game had that, I just believe that game woke them up. And it woke them up big time. And that's the most dangerous thing that can happen in a crowded Western Conference where you have the Phoenix Suns trying to run away with the thing, where you have biggest surprise in the NBA, Sacramento.
Yeah.
Biggest surprise in the NBA is the Sacramento Kings. Who'd have thunk it?
I mean, you just goes to show that moves in the front office have definitely been quiet there, but they've been pulling off there in Sacramento. It's definitely been a good thing to see, you know, an underdog team kind of come around and change some of the perception of how things are in the NBA a little bit. We're seeing the Lakers getting knocked down, and we're seeing other teams like Sacramento Kings come on up. So to you, Rod, you Snowman calls bronze sexual, and I would definitely, like I told him in the hit show too, that championship above my head, we need to give him one as the biggest troll ever on Snowman in the Morning. And then he agreed, he loved it. Like that was one of the bigger parts of that show, because he is a major bronze sexual, and you even had him to explain his reason why. And Dietz wasn't even understanding his explanation of how he's a bronze sexual and why, but we still let him get. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. So Rod, you can be in your lane and be a bronze sexual, but we are going to give you a hard time about it, especially when we're talking NBA talk. Mm-hmm. And to see the decline of the Lakers ever since that bubble championship, and we can label it as a bubble championship because it was like a glorified NCAA tournament is what we saw in 2020. Yes. Because there's no traveling. They were all kept in like the same location. It's pretty much, you know, governed by the league or whatever. So it was not your normal situation. Had it been a normal situation, had the season been normal, they might have made the playoffs because they were playing pretty decent, but they would not have won that championship because I think it was AD who was out with an injury up until that time when the COVID came down, and he wouldn't have been eligible for the playoffs. Right. They played it all much later in the summer and into the fall, to where it worked out to where he was healthy enough to play. You would not have gotten that bubble championship, bronze sexuals. He would not have had that three different, you know, fourth and three different teams or whatever. He would have been SOL. So take that, bronze sexuals. I wish Snowman had the button, but if he did, that's for you.
I'm going to get Drew on the main show, and he's going to unleash a bronze sexual confession. I already know that's coming. Hell, who knows? Who knows? We might do it here one Monday. We don't know.
I'm sorry, Wise, because Wise says he can't take it unless it's on Wednesday.
Just the Wednesday.
Yeah, and he gave me a hard time when I had that LeBron topic when he was on the In or Out Sports Debate, you know, for his episode, and I was just like, man, I get creative with how I plug it in there, and even in last week's show, I went off about how LeBron, he sucks because
and I caught that.
Yes, because
I caught that.
Michael Jordan never ever had shoes that were half off. I don't care if it was last year's model. This is even the Space Jam model. That even is more of a smack in the mouth. Try to do a Michael Jordan-like movie. You sucked. It tanked. Nothing close to the original. Now your shoes are half off. You are not the GOAT. That is another historical reason why. And just some people didn't agree. So I had to lay at the smackdown on episode 60 of the In or Out Sports Debate.
Good. And I caught that, and I enjoyed it. And I laughed my head off. My wife came in and said, "What are you laughing at?" And I showed her you were going off about LeBron. She just shook her head and went, "Oh no!" She walked off.
Terrell thinks he sponsor him. He thinks every time I go off like on LeBron, he's like, "How much is Snowman paying you to go off of LeBron?" I'm like, "He's not. We just have a genuine passion of our hatred for LeBron." Like, you know,
wait a minute. Who asked if I was paying you for this?
Darrell thought you had some type of in with me on why I was plugging this LeBron hatred on my shows. And I'm like, no, man. Gosh. We just have a mutual understanding of how much we're passionate about our hatred towards LeBron. Exactly. I call him LeBust. Been calling him that for 20 years.
I've been calling him LaFraud for 20 years. There is no pay. Darrell, listen carefully. There is no payment for this. There's no money being exchanged under the table. We just hate LeBron. Period.
Yeah. If we were going to make business ventures, it would
like him.
Yeah, if we, maybe down the road we can make business ventures. It will not be heavily influenced with cash for hatred towards LeBron. It would be, but I'm telling you, man, this is not sponsored hatred. This is just genuine passion for the bus.
No. Victor Locke is with us from Chicago. I call him King Nothing.
Great song by Metallica.
Thank you. I thought it was Metallica. I had to remember. I'm going to find that song, and then I'm going to play it one Wednesday. Well, I'm going to play the opening part of it.
Yeah.
One Wednesday when we do Bronze Sexual Confessions. The day that you come on a Wednesday and you join us for a Bronze Sexual Confession, I will play the original opening and I'll play the opening bars of that song.
I love it. You should make like a special edition Bronze Sexual. Like, how you have the little push button where you have the Bronze Sexual come up.
Yes.
With the guy and his looks on his face. You got to have that in there for a special edition one. Just put it in there because that he is King Nothing. He is in the consideration of discussion of one of the greater talents of the NBA. You got to give him his credit where it's due, but he is a fraud. He is a flop. He flops a lot and is a very great actor when it comes to his sells on the court, but not great in box office. A bust. You are a bust, a fraud, and deserve maybe to be in the top 10 discussion of the NBA. Snowman wouldn't put you that high, but I'll put you in the top 10. I just wouldn't even put you in the top 5, though, to be honest. And you're definitely not the GOAT. I'm sorry.
One more break, and we're going to talk a little wrestling because the Survivor Series happened with a twist. Back in a moment.
Hey everybody, Snowman here, and thanks for listening to this episode of Snowman in the Morning with Cole Johnson. Want to tell you about a little thing we like to call Monkey Knife Fight. Wait, what in the world is that, you may ask? Well, Monkey Knife Fight is a daily fantasy site where you can play your favorite games, support your favorite players, and make money at the same time. And right now, if you go to monkeyknifefight.com and use the code Snowman, you will get a 100% deposit match on up to $100 on your initial deposit. Go to monkeyknifefight.com and use the code Snowman for an up to 100% deposit on your first deposit of up to $100. Thanks, and tell them Snowman sent you. The World Series is underway, so is the NFL season, the NBA season, and yes, there's actually hockey with the NHL. Where can you support your team and your favorite player? By going to Fanatics. Go to snowmaninthemorning.com/Fanatics. That's snowmaninthemorning.com/Fanatics. Select your favorite jersey or your favorite gear from your favorite team or your favorite player, and you can support not only your favorite team or favorite player, but you can support this morning show as well. Go to snowmaninthemorning.com/Fanatics, and you can support anybody involved in sports with all the seasons going right now. It's Fanatics, where sports fans shop. And when you go there, tell them Snowman sent you. Thank you. Have you had a chance to visit the brand new Snowman in the Morning shop yet? You haven't? Then what are you waiting for? Go to our new web address, snowmaninthemorning.com/shop. That's snowmaninthemorning.com/shop, where you can shop for all kinds of items like a coffee mug, a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a book bag, and everything else that you need to have the same outfits and the same gear that the crew has. And with each purchase, you will be helping the Snow Strong initiative. We got a lot to do in a short time to get there. Go to snowmaninthemorning.com/shop and get the same stuff that the crew has. And when you do that, tell them Snowman sent you. Thanks.
One more piece of business on this edition of The Plus, and Drew plugged this in for me. The Survivor Series took place in Boston at the TD Garden. The twist? War Games.
Yeah, it definitely was a twist. Before I get my take on, I just want to give a shout out to the comments that we have in there. Sick put a very, very one that I need to acknowledge, though, man, where the original Space Jam, where the track that played Hit 'em High, where he's talking about Hit 'em High, would not have been legitimate in LeBron's version because you can't hit him anymore. Like the game is too pussified nowadays. So good call out to Sick for that.
Would have been a trap song.
Absolutely would have. So definitely a good call on that. So guys, with Survivor Series, with the exception of the women's championship match, which I thought was stale. I didn't really like how they did that with Shotzi and Ronda. They could have done a better job with that.
Yeah.
The U.S. championship match, the three-way match with Seth freaking Rollins, Bobby Lashley, and Austin Theory. I feel like they booked the ending to that match to kind of put over Bobby and Seth freaking Rollins strong. But I feel like they could have done a better job at how they did it. It just didn't really look natural. That definitely looked like it was pretty rehearsed with that.
Yeah,
but
it did.
But the War Games matches themselves and seeing the NXT takeover part of what Shawn Michaels and Triple H have had for the years that they were in charge of NXT, now bleeding over into the main roster. That was a great thing to see, and they did a great job as a whole. The matches that I didn't really like were the ones that weren't War Games matches, because they could have done a better.
For me, War Games was the draw. War Games was the draw for Survivor Series because, let's face it, Survivor Series has not been the same for a long time. Okay, the last Survivor Series, I can tell you, the last Survivor Series I watched in full, the last Survivor Series match was 2006, when it was DX, Team Extreme, and CM Punk on one side, and then you had Randy Orton and Edge. Then you had a couple other guys, and I can't remember who that team was, but it hasn't been a big draw. The Survivor Series has not been a big draw since 2006 in Philadelphia.
Yeah, and it was definitely a great what I saw with what they did with the Bloodline, and that main event that we saw within that show this past weekend, because you've got Kevin Owens, you've got the Brawling Brutes with now Pete Dunne has changed his name to Butch or whatever over the course of this year.
Yeah.
And you got Sheamus and his team there, and then you also got Drew McIntyre coming in, Kevin Owens with the Bloodline part of it. You got Sami Zayn is now part of the Bloodline, he's not part of the Bloodline, but he is, and he's the honorary Oos in there. So
yes,
he's the one who's famous for the term Oosie. So he's definitely, Sami Zayn is propelled to the highest part of WWE that he's ever been at. It's been good to see his charismatic ways being transitioned into this main event type of segment they've had each and every week on SmackDown with the storylines that they've had, and his history with Kevin Owens from back in the day on their times on the independent scene, as he was El Generico under a mask. Sami Zayn used to be, and then you got Kevin Owens or whatnot there. They looked at each other when Kevin Owens first came back, and that's when people started thinking, was Sami turn on the Bloodline? No, nope. He obviously didn't. He was very adamant about the fact that at the beginning of the Survivor Series showed that he was not turning on the Bloodline, and he proved it. They did a good job with how that match ended. It was entertaining, and like you said, it's been about 15 years or so since we've seen some real entertaining Survivor Series type of matchups, and this year they delivered, and minus the matches that weren't War Games matches, really. And mainly the biggest one that I'll throw a little shade on is the Women's Championship match. U.S. Championship match was good. I just feel like the ending could have been a little bit better than that. The entire Women's Championship match I didn't like at all. And overall, every other match on the card was great. It was entertaining, and it was worth the hype.
But what's happened? What's happened to the Survivor Series? I mean, that's usually the big winter kickoff for them. And I'll say it again, since 2006, it sucked. What am I missing here?
They've got bigger shows. Once they started doing the Saudi Arabia stuff and putting more focus on that, Crown Jewel now has bigger clout than Survivor Series. And
gotcha.
The sad thing is Crown Jewel is in the same month, because Crown Jewel is at the beginning of November. Survivor Series at the end. Survivor Series was one of Vince McMahon's big babies back in the day.
Yes.
Back in the 80s. Of course, WrestleMania is number one. The Rumble's number two, because that's leading up to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
SummerSlam would probably be 3. The Survivor Series would be 4. That's probably the top 4 pay-per-views he's ever done, and what he's built, the historical lineage of that. And now that the transition of power has changed, the storytelling for that, even though I feel like they did a great job with making it bigger than what it was, Vince McMahon's focus more over the past 5 to 10 years has been more on building that market in Saudi Arabia and Crown Jewel. And the other one, there was another one they used to have or whatnot. I'm drawing a blank on. But there was like 2 Saudi Arabia shows they were doing every year. But now they put more focus on Crown Jewel in November. It's just financially, it's better for them. Just like putting everything on Peacock now,
Gotcha.
instead of having WWE Network, has been more beneficial for them financially. It's all money and politics, man.
Yeah, it's all money and politics. I just remember those big 4 that you mentioned: SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, and WrestleMania. You always look forward to those 4. Now they got so many. They got monthly pay-per-views now. And that started with the Attitude Era. But at the same time, you had the horses and the characters to take you through.
Premium live events.
Yes,
what they want to call them now. If
premium live events. You had to come on.
Just call pay-per-views. That's why
just call them pay-per-views, man. That's what they were known as. That's what they were known as before the WWF got the F out.
Mm-hmm. Sick. You came in right afterwards with what I said, but yeah, you were right on the point with me too in the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
With the premium live events.
Premium live events. Really?
That's why people are going to watch those more, and not like AEW just had their pay-per-view last week where MJF is now the champion in AEW, dethroning Jon Moxley. And it's like you can pay $50 and watch that, or a week later you can watch Survivor Series War Games for free on Peacock, because you're going to be watching it anyway. So that's the difference in stuff now is pay-per-view buys are not going to be as high as they used to be, because back in the day when it was WWF or WCW, you either bought it or you had to wait till it came out on VHS or DVD to watch it.
Or you had to wait for the next night when they presented the highlights.
But even that's not the same. You'd still would watch part of that, and the internet would show you little 30-second clips or whatever you could find. But to watch the whole thing, you'd have to wait for the VHS or DVD to come out back 20 years ago. I remember those days. And recording shows.
Boy, do I remember those days.
Do what?
Boy, do I remember those days.
Yeah, recording shows. Like I remember setting the timer on the VHS and recording like Monday Night Raw, because I was in school or whatever, so I'd have to record it so I could watch it the next day or whatever. So that way I get up stupid early. Like that's how I'm used to getting up early nowadays, like as an adult, because I'd wake up like 5 o'clock just to watch Monday Night Raw, because I would be allowed to be awake at 5, but I couldn't stay up to a certain point to watch it. So that's how I knew back then. That's how you work the system, man. Like
you gotta find a way. Okay. Final thing. Top 4 for the CFP playoffs. Does Alabama have a chance to get in?
No. And it's awesome to be able to say that. Because you said do a top 4 and I put a top 10 together, but I'm not going to give the whole top 10. But when I do my top 10, I got Alabama at 7.
Mm-hmm. That's where I have it.
So Alabama's at 7 for me, so they're not getting in.
All right.
For my number 4.
Drew's top 4 is?
My number 4, the University of Southern California. They've done a really good job over this season. In the 12 games they have played, they're 11-1. And they, in the type of schedule they've had, they enter the top 4 with 2 top 5 teams that they lost last week. And when you think about that, you think about what they've done this season. I got to give them in the top 4 of what they've been able to pull off in getting those victories over those top 5s. TCU finished with regular season undefeated. I got to give them a top 3 spot in this. They're my number 3. TCU's at 3 for me. A playoff shot appears inevitable with one more win, and it's coming, and they're going to do it. And TCU, in my opinion, is going to be 3rd. When it comes to my number 2, Lamont Thomas of the Legacy Maker Sports Network is going to love this. My number 2 is going to be Michigan. They've turned the tide in the rivalry against Ohio State, in my opinion, Snowman. Winning in Columbus for the first time in 2000 this year, you got to give it to Michigan. You have to give it to Michigan at number 2. And I was tossing back and forth with giving them number 1. Like I almost did. But when I think about this next team I'm going to put at number 1, it would be shameful to put Michigan over them, even though it's still part of me wants to put Michigan there.
And
that's
the
the homer aspect.
Is?
Georgia at number 1 with a 12-0 record as well. My top 3 teams are undefeated. But Michigan, if I were to really rank them, I had them in the top 3. They were previously at 3. I had Ohio State, up until a week ago at number 2.
Yeah.
But with the way that they lost, with the way that the things have been going for them, I had to take them out of that and put USC and TCU
USC
in there.
has earned their way into my top 4. My top 4 is the same. You got USC at number 4. They still have the Pac-10 championship to deal with. TCU at number 3. They're going to roll in the Big 12 championship. Michigan at number 2. They just beat their biggest rival in Ohio State. And as y'all hear in the background with the music I'm playing, number 1, the Dogs.
Yep.
Why do I have the Dogs at number 1? Because at the top of the season, everybody was putting Georgia 3 and below because they lost so many players in the NFL draft. I said, wait a minute. That's not right. I said, why not?
They got back-to-back undefeated seasons. Like they had an undefeated season last year, and now they got another one.
Because to be the champs, you have to beat the champs.
Mm-hmm.
And coming into every season, the defending champions should get the top ranking anyway because they're the defending champs. But no, they want to base it on recruiting and all that kind of stuff. Well, you know what? Take this.
Because they've had back-to-back undefeated seasons, Snowman, I couldn't put Michigan at 1. That's why I had to keep Georgia.
And Michigan got beat down by Georgia in Miami last December. I was about to say January, but it was New Year's Eve. I have to remember that. And here's let's wrap it up here. Why is ESPN taking control of the college football playoff? Well, I already know why. They got paid for it. It's too easy.
They're taking as much control as these bots on the internet with their wild comments.
Oh God. What did you and a couple of my other friends say? I have now been officially indoctrinated into the YouTube game with these doggone bots coming up now.
It was like the Ric Flair version of a bot just showed up. You got Andrew and Victor in there. Like Victor's comment was woo. Definitely had me throw a loop right there. That's why I looked at it, I was like kind of caught off guard. I'm still with you, but
I understand. Oh, gracious. Well,
we got off the rails of that for that one.
We did. If that don't catch you off the rails, nothing will. You must have an ice cold mind if that doesn't catch off the rails. It certainly caught me.
What were you saying about ESPN though? Go back about that for a second while we're wrapping up.
Hogging up the college football playoff. Okay, is it me or does the presentation of the game seem?
Thanks.
Shall I use the word? I'll use the word scripted. I mean, I know I can't put that on the kids. They're just going out there and fighting and doing what they need to do. I understand that, but does this seem kind of boxed in to you with ESPN having those games?
Yeah, I mean, it's the way you look at it. Even this whole college playoff thing, even though it's better than what it used to be before, because we used to get national championship games that were, politically chosen.
Yes.
Nowadays the playoff formats improved it, kind of like the playoff format for NASCAR's improved things. To go off subject with that, but
yes,
I do agree with that. ESPN, when it comes to college sports in general, minus the NCAA tournament for basketball. But when it comes to football in general, they have been known over the past couple of decades to kind of hog all that. And you're going to have to either watch it on ESPN 1, 2, 3, 4, or 17 because they got so many different ESPNs. When you go into the ESPN app, it seems like there's like 17 different ESPNs and there's 30 different college games that are going on.
Yes.
So unless you have the ESPN Plus subscription,
and half of those teams you don't even know.
Yeah, so unless you're paying for the subscription, you're not really going to get the benefit of watching the entirety of college football.
You're really not. And I am a sucker when it comes to college football. I am a sucker when it comes to college sports. So yes, I do have the app, and I'm I dive into the live stuff. Okay, ESPN Plus is how I watch the Canadian Football League this year. Let me stop tripping. Okay, but that's the only reason I do it. I watch the live stuff, and I watch teams that no one's familiar with. South Dakota State, North Dakota State, North Dakota. Those are the ones I usually catch. North Carolina A&T, that's in your area. Okay. There's a good friend of mine that is the voice of Virginia State. I would love to have seen them a couple times this year. But what I'm going to do with my network is take all that over. Mm-hmm. It's going to take a while for me to get there. I understand that, but hey, hell with it. I'm dreaming big, man.
And you definitely are entitled to do that. Keep on plugging away, my man. You're definitely you're breaking barriers and doing a great job with this. I'm looking forward to seeing how Snowman Digital Media continues to evolve with Snowman in the Morning as well. I appreciate being here each and every Monday to be able to talk sports with my guy Snowman here. Derek, thank you for that comment earlier in the show. I 100% agree with you.
Hey, Derek, come up with a name and I'll use it.
Come up with a name.
Promise. Come up with it. Come up with a new name, and I'll use it. I'll use the daylights out of it.
Okay, and I'm going to challenge Snowman. I'm going to piggyback on that and challenge Snowman to make a badass intro. And I'm going to plug one last thing. Tuesdays, In or Out Sports Debate, 8:05 p.m. Eastern. And I did get that idea from Snowman. I love starting at 5 minutes after. So 8:05 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. I give shout out to Snowman each and every time I say 8:05 on the network. Just hit 60 episodes. I'm breaking barriers too with that. I don't have any children, but that show is my baby. I do it every single week. I love it, and I love the guests I have on it. Snowman's a 2-time Vault of Fame inductee, and we've got some great guests coming up for the rest of this year. It's been a busy year for this guy, but I love being busy because you're not making progress if you're not, and I'm proud that I can actually have the time to spend with Snowman, and he has the time for me every single week here on Mondays. So the ride has been fun in 2022. I look forward to seeing what 2023 has in store for us as well. And thank you, Derek, again. Come up with that name.
Before we go, we got this to show y'all.
Legacy Maker, the All Sports Network, presents a Sertoba Media production where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Acknowledge me.
You should know your role and shut your mouth!
'23 will be that too.
Had to hit him with that. Have a great day, y'all. God bless. Make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they're not big enough. For Drew Willingham, Snowman here. We're out of here. See you next time.